Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated will be filming, recording, and photographing this event for use in Delta promotional videos, photography, advertisements, social media platforms, web pages, and other future Delta events as the case may be. Via continued participation in and by continuing to remain logged into this event, hereby acknowledges that participant may be photographed, filmed, or otherwise recorded while on the premises of the event. Grants Delta, its successors, assigns, and licensees irrevocable consent to include participants' name, likeness, photographic image, mannerisms, and voice or other recording in the production or for exploitation for any purpose whatsoever in any and all media now known or hereafter devised throughout the universe in perpetuity without compensation and or credit. Represents, warrants, and agrees that Delta holds and shall forever hold all display, publication, and ownership rights, licenses, and privileges to any and all media, whether in law or in equity, which may be ascertained, registered, or in any way utilized with respect thereto, and waives, releases, and transfer, as the case may be, any and all such rights, whether in law or equity, as may be necessary or required to effectuate Delta's establishment of ownership. Participant further agrees to abide by and comply with any and all terms of use and or additional participation rules as applicable and specified during relevant sections of the program, and acknowledges, understands, and agrees that violation of such participation rules shall result in legal recourse and disciplinary action.
And now, before we start a discussion, there's a video we want to share and view. And then once that video ends, we will turn it over to Linda Kemp, who will introduce the moderator, and therefore the panelists will be introduced and the discussion will start at that point.
Not caring what people think will be the best choice you ever make. Bro, this whole I want to be popular stuff is basic. I know you see the cool kids, they dress fresh, they get the attention, they turning up, they going to parties, and you want to be like them, right? Keep it 100. Sometimes you feel like you're not enough, right? Well, I'm telling you, you are enough. You were born original. Don't you dare die a copy. You were born to stand out. Stop trying to fit in. Popularity does not mean quality, but I get it. I get it. See, in this crazy world we live in, it has no chill. Some people are loved for being fake, and others are judged for being real. But you have to be real. Never stop. Because it's better to be hated for who you are than liked for who you're not. So what if you don't fit in? So what if you're not perfect? Do you know how diamond experts can tell if a diamond is real or worthless? See, the fake diamonds are perfect. The real ones have flaws. And just like that, fake people appear perfect. Real people make mistakes and have flaws. And let me tell you this, the coolest people don't care about being cool. The people who care about being cool are the saddest. When they go home, they're not happy with who they are. Because see, popularity is when other people like you. True happiness is when you like you. See, me and you, bro, we got the same story. See, I was that shy kid. There was nothing I wanted more than for people to like me, but it didn't happen. And I would always think like why? Why can't more people like me? And then it dawned on me. See, sometimes the universe has to protect you from what you think you want. See, me not being popular gave me time to work on me. And when I worked on me, everything changed. When I had the courage to be me, people started coming to me. See, I found out that I was enough already. And just like that, you are enough already. See, nobody has lived your life. Nobody can tell your story. So pick your head up. Don't dim your light so that others don't have to squint. Don't hide your shine underneath the shade. Don't trade your dignity for popularity. You may not be popular now, but you will be great one day. Right now, you may not be well known, but one day you will be worth knowing. So keep focusing on you. And don't worry about what these people think, mainly because most people don't think. Most people will judge you based on an opinion from somebody else. Man, treat these people like coupons and cut them out of your life. Leave them on red. It's time to focus on you. You may not see it now, but in 5 years, none of this popularity stuff is gonna matter. See, popularity ends on yearbook day. What you build and who you become will last the rest of your life. So don't let them write your story. You keep caring about what people think, you will forever be their slave. And you're stronger than that. So never forget who you are, because it is who you are that makes you great.
Okay, everybody. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce my my friend and my Sarah, Mary Ann Bosley. When Mary Ann, anybody who knows Mary Ann knows that she will give an instruction when she talks. So that's just a natural teacher in her. Her instruction to me was to keep it short. And so that's what I'm going to do. And she also wanted me to start with the most important thing about her, and that is that she is a mother of 2 adult sons and 3 grandsons. And that alone, I'm sure mothers would agree, is enough to qualify her as a moderator of anything, not to mention our Sunshine program. She was born and raised in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So if you detect a Southern accent, that's where it's from. She received her undergraduate degree in English education from Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, and a graduate degree in educational administration from Virginia State University in Ettrick, Virginia. During her career, Mary Ann has taught not only in Fairfax County, but in several states nationwide and in Germany. Equally important, she believes she has earned a special advanced degree through her experiences with students and adults in and out of the classroom. This is a part that she did not put in her bio, but I Googled and decided to put it in because it's important. Mary Ann retired in 2013 as assistant principal of Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. And anyone who knows Thomas Jefferson, we know that it has received #1 national ratings in the past. So this is quite an accomplishment. She spent 14 years as a member of the Jefferson community. In retirement, she enjoys reading, gardening, self-reflecting, and she treasures her family and friends. She has a special bond with her sorority, of course, Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. And I want to end this with a quote from Mary Ann. I find enjoyment in the everyday blessings and amazement of life, watching the changes and growth in my grandsons, and always remembering that with growth, prayers, love, and understanding are especially important. I give you Mary Ann Bosley, our moderator for the evening.
Thank you, Linda. Linda and I go back a long way. Is it 30 years now, Linda?
Yeah,
as charter
30 for
members?
you, maybe 15 for me.
30 years as charter members of the chapter. Before I get started, I want to acknowledge our panelists. It touches my heart to know that we have such distinguished gentlemen to be a part of our discussion this afternoon or this evening. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The first person is Nathaniel or Nate Fisher, who is an architect and business owner. Nate grew up in Chicago, Illinois, the 7th child of 9. He was the first in his family to graduate from college. From age 12, he knew he would be an architect after one of his older brothers shared a set of blueprints from one of his high school class assignments. He always had an interest in style and fashion. Most of his clothes were handed down from 4 brothers ahead of him and shared with one younger brother. Now that's really getting your money's worth out of the clothes, Nate. As he grew older, he recognized the correlation between art, architecture, and fashion, and dedicated his life to interlacing them into a cohesive brand. In 2015, he started Jones Thornton Clothiers, a men's custom suit company specializing in custom-made suits, shirts, and accessories. He also consults with families, focusing on coaching young men and their fathers on what is best to wear to help maximize their confidence level in school, the office, and leisure. He lives in Falls Church, Virginia, with his wife, Helene, who is the president of Delta Sigma Theta, Fairfax County Alumni Chapter. His son, Brandon, his 2 dogs, Minnie and Cooper, and he is the proud grandfather of his first grandchild, Noah. Courtney, their daughter, and her husband blessed them with Noah. He celebrates his first birthday next month, so I know Noah will have a big birthday party. Our next guest is Charles A. Barrett. He is a district level administrator in Virginia. He has practiced as a school psychologist for 13 years at the elementary and secondary levels. He serves as an adjunct lecturer at several universities, where he is actively involved in the training and development of future school psychologists. There is hope. Dr. Barrett was named School Psychologist of the Year by the Virginia Academy of School Psychologists. His past leadership position with NASP includes co-chair of the Social Justice Task Force and African American Subcommittee, chair of the Multicultural Affairs and Social Justice Committee, and Virginia delegate to the NASP Leadership Assembly. Dr. Barrett serves on the editorial boards of School Psychology Review and School Psychology. He is a frequent speaker and workshop presenter for educators, families, and community organizations. Thank you, Dr. Barrett. Our next presenter, or Mr. Galen Miller, and I will present this as Galen presented himself. Galen said he is a graduate of South County High School and currently studying mathematics at Stillman College. We have somebody, a product of Fairfax County, who's with us today, so he can tell us all about Fairfax County students. Thanks to his church family, he's been able to go on multiple mission trips, and he's learned a lot from the experiences. He has been a part of many teams, both track and field, as well as case competitions. He's also been fortunate enough to lead a few competition teams at Stillman College. Aside from school, he's learned a lot through the jobs he's had working at Home Depot and with a catering company for special events. Currently, his future endeavors are to finish school, and while on that path, he wants to find a way to use his talents to help others. Galen, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly, truly fortunate this evening to have such distinguished people, gentlemen on our panel who have all different perspectives, and coming together, it's worth millions and millions of dollars. So thank you. I'd like to go back to the video that we just saw on self-confidence. If you notice the young man, we were in our icebreakers, we were talking about hair and tattoos or whatever. If you notice the young man, the character, he had an earring, he had a tattoo, he even had a nose ring. And all of that, he was still not what he thought he should be, which is quite interesting. So I'd like to start out with the first question, and you will have an opportunity to give a different perspective. How is self-worth instilled in young boys? Galen, you might want to tell us how it was instilled in you, and then we get it from the perspective of our other two panelists. If we may start there, please.
So actually that's a very interesting thing for me. I think I was fortunate enough with both of my parents that I was genuinely taught self-worth and what it means to be proud of being yourself from a young age. And I was thankful for it, but I never actually realized the impact it made actually until I got to college. When you're out on your own, you're by yourself, there's nobody to tell you right from wrong. I didn't notice the difference in people who have an idea or know that they have self-worth, as opposed to those who have grown up without somebody telling them, hey, you matter, you're important as well. And seeing the difference in college was more of an eye-opener than people just saying, hey, you matter as well. And people kind of like saying it as you grow up, as opposed to actually seeing the difference of, I know who I am, I know who I want to be, and then having others who are either lost or just somewhere along that path.
You're muted, Sarah Bosley.
No, I'm not
Oh, there you go.
muted.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. Charles or Nate, either, please.
I'll share quickly. So thank you for having me tonight, to my good friend Linda Kemp and Gertha Burks. Good to see everybody here. I would say that for me, self-confidence and how instilling that self-worth is about showing young people, young boys, specifically, that everybody has strengths or everyone has a gift. I'll say that. It's showing them that there's something that they do well naturally. And I think it was the confidence, someone responded about, I think it was Miss Randolph, about the confidence in going to an HBCU and how that can inspire confidence in other areas. So I think about being a young child and music coming pretty easily for me, being a musician, playing piano and trumpet growing up, and how that helped me to become more confident in other areas of my life. So my parents invested in me in lessons and playing at church and all these things. So I think my self-worth in many ways came from knowing that I had inherent value as a person, of course, but also there were things that I could do well, and someone saw that, mentored it, fostered it, and that led me to become more confident as a person, and then also more confident in other things that I want to pursue academically and other areas with that. And I'll say that, you know, as a school psychologist, I think it's also important that we balance this idea that we have strengths, but also being realistic, we also have weaknesses. We have things that we have to work on and have to, you know, try harder. I was not good at math or not good at science, but English and the humanities came very easily for me. So just, I think that the more we give children a balanced perspective on who they are, we foster, we encourage, we inspire their strengths, that gives them confidence to even try the things that they are not so strong at least at the moment. And then, you know, they can grow and mature in ways that are a lot more balanced and a lot more healthy.
Thank you. Dave?
Nate, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
I was told to remember, make sure you get off of mute before you start opening your mouth. And of course, I forgot. I think it's amazing that the two gentlemen before me are on the same wavelength or pattern as I. I think every young man needs to have a sense of purpose. That thing that makes them want to get up in the morning to say, I'm starting my life, or I'm continuing my life. That gives you that feeling of that level of confidence that allows you to grow, that allows you to see who you are and who you're going to be. When you have a goal, you have a purpose, and you make those things happen. You manifest themselves. it was said, I knew I was going to become an architect when I was 12. So that was my purpose. And no matter what happened to me, I was not going to fall or stray away from that. I was going to make it happen. And even though there are lots of other things that got in my way, I said to myself, this is going to be me. So if we can instill those types of feelings in our young men, to have them find the things that they think make them better, it gives them a head start on their lives, and it helps them move towards something and sort of accomplishment.
And interesting, we talk about self-confidence and going back to the young man that was in the video, and we can ask ourselves, how do we allow, or actually we should go back to the icebreaker, because several of the choices there will lead directly into some of the discussion that we can have about what the boys or young men look like. We can ask ourselves, how do you allow your son, or ask the parents, how do you allow them space to develop their own sense of style, which can lead to confidence, or it can, move into being without intruding or forcing them to look a certain way. How do we allow our sons to develop their own sense of style, which leads to so many other parts of their development? Anyone?
I'll take it. I'll go first. I think it starts at a very early age. I think a parent has to give her sons some space, but some rules. You want him to be confident in what he's wearing and how he presents himself, but you don't want him to go off the rails and get into a situation where he mimics something that you wouldn't be proud of. Young men nowadays, young women also, are so overwhelmed by what they see on social media and what everybody is presenting as perfect. And we all know it's far from that. So we have to help them understand their limitations on what you wear it, how you present yourself, and how other people see you. We need to give them enough space to develop their own personality, but with some restrictions, because society is expecting a certain amount of things from you. We don't want to take away you being you, but there is a certain point in life where you need to fit in. Yeah, okay, wear your pink hair, but don't wear your pink hair if nobody in the law firm wears pink hair. If you're trying to stand out and to be yourself, there's a place and a time for all of those things. If you have a whole bunch of money, you can wear whatever you want. You're gonna look like a cow if you want. But if you're trying to strive to be something and you need people to help you, you need to get in where get in where you fit in. Get to that point, understand that you have to play that game, and then catapult yourself to the point that you can do or be whatever you want to be. But you have to understand the rules of the game before you can start playing it.
I would echo what Mr. Fisher has said. I think I would use this term that's not really applies to clothing or presentation, but I think it's applicable, is this idea of code switching. So there are words that we use, with our friends and family, we're around the block, in the park, and on the stoop, and that's totally fine. But there's a setting, a professional setting, be that for career, for academics, where that terminology is just inappropriate. It's not bad, it's not wrong, it's just not appropriate, or the rules don't apply to that setting. So I think the more we teach young men to code switch, including their appearance, the more successful they can become. I do want to balance that with this idea of respectability politics, that you have to wear a tie to be presentable. You have to have a jacket on. I'm from that generation where, you know, you wear a jacket to work. Loudon, where I work, just has a new dress code. So teachers, everyone can wear jeans and sneakers. And I just think that that's just not right. You know, you're a professional and you can't wear jeans as a psychologist every day to work, or sneakers, or crew neck kind of shirt. I mean, that's just not, you can look nice, but that's not the setting for that type of casual wear. So I think balancing the idea of there are different ways to be professional. Collared shirt at the minimum, I think, is a professional dress. Shoes, not sneakers, you know, things like that. You know, certain colored pants are just not professional dress. But I think my point is really teaching children or young men that there's a time and place for what you wear, and because you are still trying to climb a ladder, get a job, have access to a living, you have to kind of play the rules of that setting. And then when you're a billionaire, you can do what you want. But until you get to that point, certainly the rules of the game also apply to us as we're trying to do better.
Okay, Galen, did you have a comment or?
I had a comment, but what was the original question again?
Allowing our children or our sons to have space to develop their own sense of style. So from your perspective, how were you able to develop your own sense of style?
Okay. I think style and just developing your personality and who you are for a young man it's honestly a bit rocky at first, if not given like that proper foundation. Like I said earlier, my parents both were very enthusiastic. We're here to help you. Let us know how we can help you be confident in yourself. And it was kind of enough space for me to make my own decisions, but not so much space that they can't catch me if I fall. And it was one of those things where I was able to figure things out on my own, but not so alone that I have nobody to turn to if I have questions or just concerns or wanted something cleared up. And then back to what both of my other panelists said as well, is just kind of that understanding there's a time and place for everything, and you can go and be who you are, but at the same time, different places have different settings. For example, when I'm working at Home Depot, it's more jeans, a jacket, because I know I'm going to be working with cement, dirt, things like that. But if I'm working with the catering company, black pants, white shirt, tie, I have to look presentable because we are the face of the company. We represent what we're doing here. And it's not okay, let's wear casual jeans, sneakers, whatever kind of socks and shoes. So it's just kind of, it's honestly, it's simple, but it's tough going through it now that I think about it, because while I know who I am and the person I want to be, I see the end goal and I see who I want to be and what I want to make of myself. The issue I think that comes up the most is, how do I get there in either the most efficient way or just the way with the least amount of, I guess, failures and pitfalls, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay, thank you. At this time, do any of the parents have questions that reflect back on the conversations we've had so far? So Ware, do you have anything in the chat that we need to address?
Not right now, but if I get one, I'll jump in and let you know.
Okay, parents that are on, do you have any questions that is related to anything that's been said so far? Okay, we'll move on. We talk about young men and the hairstyles. We talked about that earlier. And interestingly, in 2022, the Crown Act was presented, or it was passed. So the Crown Act, which bans hair discrimination, including discrimination against natural hair Specifically, the bill prohibits this type of discrimination against those participating in federally assisted programs, housing programs, public accommodations, and employment. So that's one thing that the students have an opportunity to express themselves in their hairstyles, because they're not going to lose their job because of hairstyles, but yet determining what's appropriate and what's comfortable for them to go into work and what's the setting that they're working in. So if we ask the question, with the Crown Act now in force, what are appropriate and inappropriate ways for males to wear their hair or wear natural hairstyles? That could become a dilemma. So if we could address that, what exactly with this new bill does it allow our children or our boys to wear their hair certain ways?
I'll start. So for Linda knows this and Gertha knows this, for 16 years, I had locks down to the middle of my back. And I just cut my hair about 2 years ago because I was going bald here. So it was time to do something else. But I remember growing my hair in graduate school and my parents being very, very concerned about me. I was in Pennsylvania, you know, you're a Black man, you had this long hair and beard and all this stuff. I'm also of Jamaican heritage. My parents are Jamaican, and for them, locks meant something different than me. For me, it was no spiritual, it was just a curiosity. I grew up bald like this and just wanted to grow my hair. But having said that, when I started my career, I had locks and I was concerned about whether I would get a job. Now, I thought that I'm in education, it's kind of a more liberal, you know, field than maybe law or even medicine. So I thought it would be fine, but I was concerned, would people take me seriously, you know, young Black man with locks? And I found that they did. I spoke to a friend of mine who was a administrator in Charlotte public schools, assistant principal, and she said, when you open your mouth, that will speak for you. My advice would be, if young people want to wear natural hair, the first thing I would say is make sure it's neat and clean. If it's clean, if it's groomed, you know, if you're got your line tight, you know, for young men, it makes a difference. Sometimes I would let myself go, but I wouldn't be working at that time. But if you really want to do that, make sure you maintain them in a way that's still professional. They're tied back, or the different styles you can wear that can be fully professional. Even now I'm seeing attorneys and physicians, which I didn't see even 10 or 15 years ago, with those types of hairstyles in those industries. But my advice to mothers and to young men that want to wear natural hair, make sure it's neat and clean. And if you can't maintain it, don't do it. Thank you, Linda.
Nate, did you?
Sure. I agree with Dr. Barrett. It's interesting because the law says that you can't be fired for having your hair that way. But I'm not sure if it says you can't be hired if you have your hair that way. So there's still a level of discrimination when you walk in to try to get a job and someone sees your hair like that because they see you being different or militant, or use your whatever adjective you want to use to keep you from getting in. The thing of it, and I agree with Dr. Barrett 100%. If you're going to go to an interview, at least make sure you're clean. Your beard is clean. It looks nice. Your hair looks presentable, and you present the part. Because, like he also said, once you open your mouth, it's going to say a lot about exactly who or what you are. So that's the biggest problem, getting into the door. Once you're in, I'm not going to say just let it go crazy, just, you know, look like weeds on the top of your head. but that's the part that kicks in, because you can't, you know, they can't let you go. But the idea of you trying to get into, I'm using an expression, the club, there's still a certain amount of criteria that still has to be met. And we also have to be honest with ourselves. It's not always people who don't look like us that are doing the hiring that will keep you from getting a job because of the way that your hair may or may not look. So it's not just, you know, I'm telling you, we pull ourselves down a lot because somebody you're interviewing with doesn't necessarily like the way your hair or the way your style is. So it's a double-edged sword. It's just the best thing to do is present yourself as the best that you possibly can, and then open your mouth and wow them with what you say.
So I agree with both of them. They're both right on how they've approached it. And I think to me, it really does come down to, you know, if your hair is neat or not, and if it's appropriate for a workplace. We're not saying that you have to go and cut your hair off completely just to get the job. It's just that if you're going in for an interview or you're going in for a job, there is a certain level of presentability and self-respect that you dress to. And I think that's the most important part. You know, in your mind, if you look in the mirror, I'm dressed like I'm ready for a job, as opposed to just, I woke up this morning, I put on a suit, I'm ready to go. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to at the end of it.
You know, we're thinking of the young men who are going to get jobs and all, but let's think of it in terms of either the ones who are in high school, they may be having an interview for a scholarship. They may have a presentation to become president or have some office in one of the clubs in school that's going to propel them into getting a scholarship. So when we're thinking of it in terms of what should they look like, we know just neat and clean is the most important thing, and well pressed. But at what age should parents start to discuss with their kids their appearance and taking pride in their life? Is it elementary, middle school? Where at what point do we start instilling these kinds of values or ideas into the young men about what they should look like? Because it's going to take hold in so many places in middle school or high school. They may audition for something in band. So where do we start?
I think, or in my opinion, I think it's at a very, very early stage, because what you want to start a foundation with your son to have him understand his sense of, you know, we talked about self-worth and then also style. One of the biggest problems we as parents have, and what society has and social media has, they put a lot of emphasis on designer things, designer clothes. And I would tell a young man, if you're going to get something that's designer, don't get anything that's blazing with this designer. That you're not getting paid for that. So why are you advertising for those people? Now, if it's because it's something that's high quality and that's going to last you a long time, that's a different story. But don't wear Gucci this and Louis Vuitton that and all of this other stuff, and walk around like a marketing firm and not getting paid a single dollar. And all you're doing is just giving them free advertisement. Focus yourself. I think young men have to focus at an early stage on the basics. Many of you may not know that, at least when I was growing up, the kids before me, our parents used to buy jeans for us really long, and we'd have to roll them up. And you know, you wear your jeans with the cuff, and that became a style. But the reason why you wore your jeans with the cuff is because your mother wanted you to be able to wear those jeans a long time. He was trying to stretch her dollar. It just became a style. And that's how things start. You have to look at things, especially because, you know, everybody's dollar has to stretch. And not everybody can go out and buy their kids things that are designer. So we need to I spent a lot of my time in AmVets and Goodwill when I was growing up. My older brother would give my younger brother and I $5, and we'd come home with shopping bags full of clothes. And we were popular in high school because of the way we dressed. People started getting wind of what we were doing, and then all of our friends would come there with us. That was the thing to do. Let's go thrift shopping. So, and it wasn't big. They had the money. We didn't. It was solely because of that. But we developed that sense of style early on, and I got some of it from watching my brothers. And I developed my own. My younger brother Danny and I developed our own style, and our entire high school started dressing the way we dressed. We were trendsetters. So I think it starts at an early age.
It's amazing that the styles dictate. You know, we were talking about the skinny jeans. I just had to buy my grandson a pair of jeans, whatever they were, and they're loose fitting, which I asked, I said, did you know they're loose fitting? So, you know, it changes from one month to the other, but it's also important that they're comfortable in what they're wearing, you know, and it's fashionable now to go to thrift stores and dress. So maybe some of the young men or some of the parents don't know it, but it's very fashionable to get something from the thrift store and style in it and be your own person. You know, I look good in this because I'm me, and you don't always want to look like the other person. So that's part of the style now, I think, from what I'm hearing. I don't know, some of the parents can probably tell us what's fashionable and what's not fashionable.
I wore skinny jeans because I was skinny.
That was a good reason. Do any of the parents have any comment about what's popular or what the young men are wanting to wear now? Well, we can think about the athletes.
I would add that a lot of young men are looking at what sports figures and rappers and those people are wearing. And it's really interesting that, you know, when rap started, it was the big chains and it was the puffy jackets and all of those things. And then it slowly started to become more refined. And the refinement was based solely on trying to show people how much money you have, trying to make people think that you are better than the other guy. And it's become a bad thing because now you have people who want to look like these people and they can't afford it. And then sometimes they'll take somebody else's thing. And we have that in poor communities where if you can't afford it, you can take it. And I mean, look in Chicago where I grew up. It's the norm. You can barely walk around without worrying about somebody taking something from you. It's a bad precedent, but sometimes the people that we look up to are the people who are making the worst mistakes for our kids to follow.
Yeah, there was a question that came in. What are the athletes at this time? Are they appropriate role models for our young males, whether it's for the natural hairstyles or if it's what they're wearing? They see them and they want to look like them and be like them, but is that an appropriate role model? Question?
I would say it depends on what the young person aspires to do. So for example, I remember when I was a kid, Busta Rhymes was a major rapper, and how Busta Rhymes wore his locks, that was fine for a rapper, but I couldn't wear my locks like that and be a school psychologist in Lancaster Public Schools. So I think it depends on what you are aspiring to be. If you want to be in that same industry, that might be perfect. But if you still like the idea of natural hair, but you want to be a teacher or a principal or a lawyer or a physician, you might have to modify what they're doing to make it fit more appropriately for your respective setting. So I think they can be great role models. I love James Harden's beard. I think his beard is it's cool. Now mine doesn't grow like that, at least not yet. But just being mindful again of the rules of engagement for your setting and making sure that it's still appropriate. Now, good, better, and different, someone has to make the rule. If the rule is you do this, I don't see that as always being oppressive or racist. It's just that there are rules that govern this particular environment, and we have to play along if we want to be in that setting. So the Crown Act does help. It does help to protect once you're hired, but I love what Mr. Wise said. It might not get you in the door if you come in a certain way. So just being mindful of all those things. Right now, for example, if my hair grew, I would not start my locks at this point in my career, trying to advance in certain ways. But I came in that way and just kind of, it became a part of my image. So that's a long way of saying it just depends on what the young person is trying to do and whether or not that hairstyle, exactly as it's being worn by the athlete or the role model, it may or may not be appropriate for their goals.
And I think you should also tell your son not to give up his individuality for somebody else. That person, that rapper, that sports figure, all those people, they developed their own brand by deciding who they're going to be. Now you're giving up your ability to do that same thing yourself by mimicking somebody else. Now it's okay to take a little piece from this person, a little piece from that person, and develop who you are based off what you want. Use it as a baseline, but don't copy them so much that you've lost your own individuality because you want to look like Colin Kaepernick or somebody else. Figure out who you want to be and pull those little individual pieces apart and make you.
Galen, did you have a comment? How do you see that on a college campus?
I'm sorry, say that piece again.
I was asking Galen, how does he see it on the college campus as far as individuality, as far as the hairstyles, the clothing and everything? I'm sure it's really different.
Individuality, especially for an HBCU, explodes on a college campus, basically, especially this week because it's homecoming for them. So everybody's out, they're all dressed up, all of their hair done, makeup done, shoes, everything. It's going to be like that for the entire week. I think when you look at every day, like day-to-day basis on a college campus is where you kind of see everyone's individuality, because some wear the same style over and over. Others kind of have a favorite design they like or a favorite kind of air about them that they give when they come to class every other day. For example, my suite mate, he dresses in a suit or very nice dress more or less every day. That's his thing. He dresses up, he's always clean, gets his hair cut every 2 weeks or so. That's his thing. It's kind of what he does. My other suite mate, jackets, sweatpants, that'll work for him. Everybody's different. They all have their own thing. And it's kind of when you find your kind of rhythm, it feels a bit better to be who you are and I guess dress yourself, as opposed to just kind of going through the motions of it. And it's like, somebody wore this kind of jacket yesterday, I should wear that today. Or I saw these jeans in like a music video, I should wear these, they look nice. And kind of like Mr. Nate said, picking pieces from inspiration is fine, but once you find your rhythm or your beat to go to, it makes it more empowering to one, be yourself, and also just to kind of upkeep yourself, if that makes sense.
Thank you. And it's difficult starting for young men in middle school and then moving into high school. And, you know, peer pressure is painful. Kids have a habit of teasing each other, so they have to get through that, walk through that little environment. But if you know the high schools, let's say in Fairfax County or Enid County, they vary from school to school. Some schools dress a certain way, some schools don't. So then when you come together for an activity, you actually see the difference in the students, what's important. And going back and speaking of Thomas Jefferson, it was never important to most of the kids there what they wore. That wasn't something that they really cared about. You know, boys might wear a dress. Nobody paid any attention to it. You know, he wore a dress to the prom. But it's an acceptance. And you have to know where you're accepted and how to maneuver and move into those environments. And if I may go back to Nate, something you said about people taking your clothing. Just as a point, right now, I've been seeing on the news that if you're wearing the Canada Goose coats, they're taking them at gunpoint. So for those of you who have the Canada Goose coats, be careful where you wear them. They're very warm, but they're also a very hot item for the thieves these days. Just as remember the sneakers were back a while ago, the Michael Jordan shoes, they would take your shoes. So it just moves from one point to the other. Are there any questions that we can try to answer at this point?
We have a hand raised, Linda Kemp.
I just wanted to, I remember one of the mothers saying in the beginning when we were having our icebreaker that she took her son to get his hair dyed, which I thought, here's a mother who is very supportive. I don't know how old, if you could comment, Mom, that would be great. I don't know how old your son is, but it seems like you are very supportive, letting him explore, but you are there to also set the boundaries. And I was very, I thought that was very impressive. I can't remember who talked about it, but.
She posted in the comments.
Oh, okay. To Keisha. Okay.
Yeah, Keisha Carter.
How old is
He's
your
10.
son?
He's 10.
He's 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Same age as my grandson, but it's just, I just thought it was so, it was a good move on your part to take him and let him explore. So I just wanted to comment on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Probably would be a good support for some of the other parents. And that's one thing, parents supporting each other is really important. Because you see different perspectives and they know that you're caring, and just to talk to other parents about what your children or your son likes and how you support him. So that's important as well. Are there any other questions we can answer or comments we can bring to a close at this point? Sarah Ware, I got my message from Sarah Latoya Renfro that I needed to bring it to a close.
No, thank you so much. Thank you to the panelists. This was an excellent discussion. We will make sure we share with those that were not able to attend tonight. And we just thank you for agreeing to participate. I enjoyed the dialogue from beginning to end. And thank you to our wonderful moderator, Sarah Bosley. We really appreciate you stepping in. It was a wonderful discussion. Rachel Gibson, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just wanted to say thank you all for taking the time out to be a part of our discussion, and thank you to the participants for participating as well.
Yes.
And I would like to say one thing to
Go
the
ahead.
parents, if they will please continue to follow us, because there is more to come after this.
Yes, so we will definitely communicate through email to the participants that we have the information for the next program. And so stay tuned to your email. If there are no questions or comments or feedback. We thank our panelists again for braving this discussion with us and sharing the experience. And Mr. Miller, thank you so much. I know if it's homecoming, we definitely appreciate you coming and joining us. And so with that said, good night, and we will be communicating for the next session in April.
Nice.